In the headlines, Canadian government provides $9.25 million to build 5 primary schools on Dominica, and the National Youth Council works to develop climate resilience mindset in the youth. Hello and welcome to National Focus. I'm Kimani St. Stay tuned for details of the headline stories and others coming up. Welcome back. The Government of Canada has pledged support of $9.25 million to assist Dominica rebuild 5 primary schools on the island. A delegation from the Canadian government visited Dominica on Wednesday to make the important announcement. Support will also be extended to Dominica's Caribbean catastrophe insurance to expedite the island's recovery following a disaster. The assistance comes as part of a $100 million package pledged to the Caribbean by Canada through the Caribbean Development Bank following the battering of several islands in the 2017 hurricane season.
This pledge is supporting reconstruction and helping to strengthen climate and economic resilience in the region. Today, I'm pleased to announce 2 projects that are part of that pledge. Canada will be contributing $9.25 million to the Caribbean Development Bank for the Dominica's Disaster Recovery and Resilience Project, which will reconstruct and restore 5 primary schools here in Dominica and make them more climate resilient. This will directly benefit more than 1,300 children and 80 teachers. Tomorrow, I look forward to visiting one of the schools that is being built, the Grant Bay School. This project would also fund Dominica's Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility premium for the next 2 years, so that essential services can continue in the event of future crisis.
Dominica will also receive support as part of Canada's assistance to the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, CDEMA, in the amount of $8.2 million to strengthen the regional response mechanisms after natural disasters. In Dominica, communities will benefit through improved response teams trained through the Office of Disaster Management.
I'm also pleased to announce an $8.2 million project with the Caribbean Disaster and Emergency Management Agency, CDEMA, to support the implementation of CARICOM's comprehensive disaster management strategy, which would help to strengthen the regional response mechanism. This project will improve regional emergency telecommunication, train specialist response teams, and to improve the Caribbean risk information system. The project includes a Canada Caribbean Disaster Response Local Fund to support small local projects during the early recovery period following natural disaster. Canada will provide funds to CDEMA's work in Dominica so that the Officer of Disaster Management can install an emergency radio network for the West Coast and train 30 community response and disaster management staff to operate and maintain the network. As well, Canada will pay for backup power and storage at 2 shelters in Capuchin and de Blanc, Bioche.
Canada has also supported Dominica in great measure to establish the Climate Resilience Execution Agency of Dominica, CRED. The Parliamentary Secretary pledged Canada's continued support to Dominica in its efforts to become the world's first climate resilient country.
I'm impressed with Dominica's commitment to be the world's first climate resilient nation. And I'm glad that Canada has had such strong people-to-people ties with more than 500,000 Canadians of Caribbean descent, and that we continue to build bridges between our countries. And significant numbers of those I'm personally proud to represent in my constituency of Brampton West. We have also had a strong economic ties and a history of close cooperation on issues related to sustainable development, climate change, and regional security, and that will certainly continue.
The 5 schools to be constructed are the Will Strathmore Stevens Primary School, Grand Bay, Monjon, Delis, and Salisbury Primary Schools. Meantime, Prime Minister Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit has expressed deep gratitude for Canada's commitment to rebuild these 5 primary schools on the island. A Canadian delegation visited the island on Wednesday to make the announcement. The Honourable Prime Minister highlighted the effort of the Canadian government to ensure that the new schools align with government's climate resilience goals.
In the design of these new schools, the Canadian and the World Bank authorities have taken on board the express position of the government of Dominica to build back and to build with greater resilience. So the schools will be designed, taking the resilience concept into consideration and applying the technology to the architectural and engineering designs so that our schools can withstand these weather events.
Honourable Skerrit in turn pledged Dominica's support to Canada, specifically in advancing action related to climate change.
Canada can rely on Dominica being there with it on its national ambitions. We are members of the United Nations together. We are also members of the OAS together. And very critically too, we are of the same view in respect to climate change and the causes of climate change and what needs to be done to mitigate against climate change, and more importantly, to allow us to be able to withstand the ravages of the impact of the weather systems. Because we in the Caribbean, we are the short end of the stick when it comes to the implications and impacts of climate change. And what I've said to our friends from Canada, because Canada has had a long history and tradition, it is almost part of the DNA, respect for the environment, and a profound sense of social conscience. We believe that Canada can play a very important role in leading the charge of matters relating to climate change.
During the visit, the delegation also launched a book produced by the High Commissioner of Canada to Barbados and the OECS, entitled Maple Leaves and Caribbean Seas. The delegation also visited Grand Bay, one of the communities where a new school will be constructed. You're watching National Focus. More when we return. Welcome back. A book produced by the High Commissioner of Canada to Barbados and the OECS, entitled Maple Leaves and Caribbean Seas, was on Wednesday evening launched at the Goodwill Parish Hall. Maple Leaves and the Caribbean Seas was produced for the recognition of Canada's 150th anniversary of the Confederation and celebrates diplomatic relations with Caribbean countries such as Dominica.
We also have a pleasure to launch a book that we produced for the 150th anniversary of Canada's Confederation last year, Maple Leaves and Caribbean Seas, to celebrate the rich legacy of our relationship with the Caribbean. We do have a long and rich history, and this year marks 40th years of diplomatic relations between Canada and Dominica. Over time, we have become strong partners and friends, strategic allies too, as members of Commonwealth family.
The launching of the book was part of the official visit of the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of International Development of Canada, Kamal Khera, Accompanied by the Communications Advisor Justin Lesage, Minister Consular Development Benoit Pierre Laramé, and Consular Development Jane Palmer, who earlier that day met with the President of Dominica, His Excellency Charles Savary, and the Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Roosevelt Skerritt. And finally, this news time, President of the National Youth Council of Dominica, Paul Barron, has expressed that the National Youth Council is in full support of the plan set by government to develop Dominica as a climate-resilient nation. Speaking to GIS News on Wednesday, Barron stated that the council believes that the youth is a critical part of Dominica realizing its goal for resiliency and that educating the youth is the first step.
I feel the youth have a very critical role to play in achieving climate resilience. In fact, largely it's our responsibility because we're the incoming generation, and if we can play a role now as leaders or as young persons in respective communities, I think that will go a long way. The first goal to achieve climate resilience is to make individuals environmentally conscious. And we are a nature island of the Caribbean. It's pointless for us to not to be able to embrace that whole philosophy and to ensure and to preserve the environment in such a way that other generations can enjoy as well, and the rest of the world.
To do its part in ensuring the youth is educated on climate-related issues and solutions, the NYCD is looking to revamp and implement its Sustainable Development Goals program in primary schools across the island. The Sustainable Development Goal Education Program is one focused on assisting the country in realizing the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which are adopted by every member state. The Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, otherwise known as the Global Goals, are a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity. The Council believes these goals fall in line with becoming a climate-resilient nation.
I've had preliminary discussions with Dr. Shaakira Pierre, the Ministry of Finance, or Planning rather, in seeking collaboration to outlay our sustainable development education program, which we target the schools for. That is largely built towards the achieving these SDGs, or the Sustainable Development Goals, and also in the need to seek climate resilience, bearing in mind that in order to be environmentally conscious, we must teach our younger students the opportunity to be sensitive towards the environment as such, and also to play a critical role in combating climate change.
And that's the English segment of the news. Shaakira Pierre is up next with Creole highlights.
Bienvenue à ce nouvel Creole, non moi c'est Shaakira Pierre. Gouvernement Canada a commitment pour supporter Dominique pour faire une donation à valeur 9,2 millions de dollars pour bâtir 5 écoles primaires en pays là. Une délégation du gouvernement Canada a visité Dominique mercredi pour faire annoncement là. Support qui est aussi fait pour Dominica's Caribbean Catastrophe Insurance pour faire pays là rebâtir plus vite après cyclone. Assistance là, c'est ni parmi 100 millions de dollars de donation gouvernement Canada a fait avec la Caraïbe là après numéro pays été dommagé en saison cyclone là qui s'est passé l'année passée. Dominique est aussi tapé support compare Assistance Canada pour Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency CDEMA, c'est à valeur 8,2 millions de dollars pour faire réponse pour désastres naturels plus forts. À Dominique, village qui bénéficie par équipe qui est tapé bon soin de l'Office Management des Désastres. Canada aussi supporté Dominique en mise là pour établir Climate Resilience Execution Agency pour Dominique, CREED. Représentatif Canada l'a dit, Canada a fait commitment pour continuer à supporter Dominique à effort là pour venir premier pays là en latéral qui s'apprend au changement climatique. En même temps là, Premier ministre Honorable Dr. Roosevelt Skerritt remercie le gouvernement Canada pour commitment là yo qu'a fait pour bâtir 5 l'école à Dominique. Honorable Skerritt dit Dominique qui continue pour supporter Canada pour avancer action qui en relation et puis changement climatique. En d'autres nouvelles, ministre de l'Éducation, mercredi, tenu orientation pour bâtir pour l'école primaire et puis l'école secondaire, tournement avant l'école ouverte. Orientation là pour place en l'école primaire Newton et puis teacher tout un pays là t'est engagé en tournement ça là. L'école est supposée ouverte à sous le 3 septembre, mais après un annoncement du ministre là, l'école est ouverte à sous le 10 septembre. En temps ça, la ministre là, Japon pas pour mettre bon mise en place pour faire certains tout préparé pour 9 l'année l'école là, et puis l'école est réhabilitée et puis bâtie après cyclone Maria. Tournement là, couvert numéro sujet, con responsabilité professionnelle, et puis comment teacher a fait travail et puis assessment qui est fait par officier éducation. Yo aussi tapé tournement contre comment pour faire plan pour classroom là, et puis management classroom là. Ces teacher là tapé lesson contre comment pour évaluer yon étudiant, et puis assessment yo, et puis pour identifier étudiant qui en wis. Et puis finalement, National Youth Council Dominica a encouragé les jeunes dominicains pour joindre effort là pour apprécier et puis célébrer mon assoulage. Mois de septembre a recognisé comme mois mon assoulage par Dominique et puis NYCD là, que joindre et puis Youth am là pour Dominica Council on Aging là pour mettre attention pour tant ça là. Pendant une parole et puis nouvel gouvernement, mercredi, président National Youth Council là, Paul Barron, a crié à ce jeune monde pour faire effort là pour occuper moun assoulage à communauté yo. Barron dit il y a une équipe jeunesse hot group qui a fait une priorité pour faire service ba moun assoulage à communauté yo. Il dit d'autres équipes jeunesse hot différents villages supposés servir équipe ça là comme exemple pour aider moun assoulage en village yo. Yon ces activités là pour célébrer mois moun assoulage, c'est une marche la moun qui est habillé en blanc et puis madras la NYCD là qui collabore pour faire marche ça là possible. Si le président Dominic Council on Aging, Gloria Shillingford, Youth Amla c'est une organisation qui a fait un bon pas. Organisation Dominic Council on Aging. Ça c'est tout pour nouvelle à Creole. Non, moi c'est Shaakira Pierre. Au revoir.
And now today's tip. Before you start a business, be sure there really is a market for what you want to sell. One of the biggest mistakes startups make is to assume a lot of people will want to buy a particular product or service because the business owner likes the ideas or knows one or two people who want the product or service. To minimize your risk for loss, never assume there is a market. Instead, research the idea. Talk to real potential prospects who aren't family or friends to find out if what you want to sell is something they'd be interested in buying, and if so, what they'd pay for the product or service. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. Be sure to follow GIS on facebook.com/GIS News Dominica, and also follow us on Twitter at GIS Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. From all of us here on the GIS News production team, I am Kimani St. Thank you for watching, and join us again next time on National Focus.